We now return to the shocking documentary, Werepig Whistleblowers, Behind the Bahookies.
On Halloween night 2012, the funky werepig was watching the classic TV movie Salem's Lot with his boychilds.
Who are definitely not us.
Obviously. At a key moment of the movie, the monster Barlow suddenly pops up on screen.
Extreme close-up.
And at that same moment, our father crushes a water bottle and screams. I went airborne and landed on a couch across the room.
I swallowed a pillow.
I cried out, "What is wrong with you? Why would you do something like that?"
Then our dad taught us one of life's most valuable lessons.
There are no brakes on the dick train.
Welcome to the No Pants Zone party. You can join at home. Come along and bring your friends. Here the party never ends. Welcome to the No Pants Zone. Never have to feel alone. Go ahead and shake your butt. No one here will give a fuck. Welcome to the No Pants Zone. Welcome to the No Pants Zone. Welcome to the No Pants Zone. Welcome to the No Pants Zone.
Never found Hattie, and they never found the shack, and they never made a trip back in. Just a parchment note they found tacked to his thumb said, "Don't come looking again." Oh. Yummy, yummy in my tummy. That's beefaroni, beefaghetti, beefaroni, beefaghetti, beefaroni. They're both so good. It is my favorite time of year, Halloween. Side note, real quick, that first part there was from the incredibly underrated singer-songwriter Jim Stafford, and the second part that I sang, I believe, is from the incredibly Bob Dylan. Hey, but hey, howdy and Harroink, it me, your funky werepig, live here from the glorious No Pants Zone studios. Throw those pants in the air like you just don't care. I have everything lined up for today's Kick Bahookie show. I've got the Zima flavored coffee, the underwear scented candle. I just pulled the comfy shirt out of the washing machine. I got my hippie hair up under my hat. Over here, I have, as usual, Boy Child 1.0 on the exercise bike that powers our Commodore 64 Magic. And over here I have, don't tell me. There's only two of you. If you are Boy Child 1.0, then the second one would be Boy Child. Oh, I almost had it. So close. But I'm too busy thinking to be thinking. Speaking of which, we got some business to take care of. Halloween is so groovy now. You little dudes, you walk around brightly lit parking lots, going from car to car, trunk to trunk, lined up for you, 100 parents around. It was dangerous when I was little. Oh my God, you'd walk around in complete darkness, and you had these masks on that you couldn't see and you couldn't breathe, and you'd walk up to some creepy cat lady's house who smelled of like speed dating and regret, and the only candies you had, candy corn, leftover Mentos, and warm cans of Coors Light. They would just chuck it in your bag, and you get home and just throw away the whole damn bag, except for the Coors Light, because back then 7-year-olds couldn't buy beer, no delivery apps, and it's still spooky. Last year on Halloween, this very show, we had ghosts in my bathroom that came in to the No Pants Zone studios, and they ran amok. There was so much amokness, we had to call in Miss Tanya, a paranormal professional, to help us out, and even she got hoodoo voodooed. She pulls out... You want me to do what with this trombone? I don't think that's legal, Miss Tanya, but you're the expert. It was a scary moment. I know it changed my life. But none of that is going to happen on this show, not with the guests that we have. Back on the show is Sir Lawrence C. Connolly. His books are with all the best publishers. His Mystery Theater podcasts are on every Apple, iTunes, Libsyn podcast site. The Mick Garris masterpiece, Nightmare Cinema, in which Sir Lawrence teams up with Kick Bahookie horror director David Slade. That is on Shudder and Tubi and underneath your bed. I had lived that part. It is always a party when Sir Lawrence shows up. Our music spotlight is on the WILLIG Boys. They have the perfect song for Halloween. The second I saw the video, I called Adele and I said, we got to bounce you back to next show. Fun trivia, one of the WILLIG Boys, Blaze, I went to high school with him. I used to sit next to him all the time. We were so in sync. When he would take a test, no matter what he wrote down, I wound up with the same answer. It was like we shared one brain. I'm in love with an ostrich. Don't judge. The trick with these is you have to guess how big the pumpkin's going to get because I paint them when they're still seeds. Speaking of artwork, because it's October, all throughout this show, we're going to be featuring the Goat Boys Gallery. Amazing pieces. You'll spot them instantly because they're brilliant. You cannot do Halloween without Lee Goat Boy Hartnup. We love you, buddy. And you know who else we can't do this show without? With flawless continuity, there he is, like a vampire who has given up drinking blood for kale smoothies. Live via satellite through Zoom, our own musical director, JJ Glamour. JJ, how are you, good sir?
Smile when it's big enough. Pretty big now, okay? Hey, my arms are hurting, so yeah.
That looks familiar. Where have I seen you do that before? Regardless, thank you very much for the promo for our new Funky Werepig fun book, Smile When It's Big Enough. Everything you love about the show is in this book. This one is a proof copy, hot off the presses, but you can get your own just by going to Amazon Books. But don't go right now because you know we're talking with JJ. JJ, it's our favorite holiday. What are you going to be for Halloween?
Moo! Hey, moo! Moo! Moo!
JJ, you okay? You seem a little off tonight. Just blink if you're okay. Okay. Hey, you know what? Let's forget book promos, Halloween. You've always been a person who brings everyone together. Would you play us out to the Magic Farmers comedy break, and maybe with a message of universal unity?
Here's a little ditty I wrote that I call #No, Just Me.
This show is weird. Behold the Magic Farmers Incorporated! Speak, Moo Cow! Speak!
You're not the boss of me!
Hello, is this mic on? Mute walks into a bar. Bartender says, "What can I get for you?" The mute says nothing. Because he's mute, goddammit. Hey.
It's Sappy Putz, America's last surviving vaudevillian comic and master of the monologue. Now on tour for the first time in 40 years.
Any birthdays? Any anniversaries? That's funny, I wrote that, goddammit. Look at this guy over here. His eyes are glazing over like he's Fred Flintstone looking at his shoelaces. That's right. Cavemen don't wear shoes. Keep up with me, Sonny. Shows moving fast. Have you read any good coloring books lately?
You'll get all of Sappy's classic jokes. Burlives was a commie. Gay means something else now. And Betty White is a sexy young thing. And Sappy proves he's still at the top of the game as he tackles today's taboo topics.
Pronouns? I say we identify ourselves with verbs. It's what you do in life that counts. So my verbs would be napping, oopsie, I did a poopsie, and forgetting. I say that because I can't remember my third verb. Hey. In the red light district, who wants to snizzle my badizzle? Hey. I was all excited last week. I couldn't believe it. Local DJ was running a contest where you could win, get this, a piece of ass. And exactly as you kids like it today. Freak! Just giving it away on the radio. Super freaking meow. So, hells yeah, I was calling in all day, and I won. I show up and I say, show me that ass. Heavy on the freak, you Johnny Fever-looking pimp. And the guy hands me a credit card and says it's good at any Quick Trip. I won free gas. At my age, I don't need no free gas. I need that free gas.
Sappy Putz, playing clubs and theaters like he did with Jack Benny, Laurel and Hardy, and Mae West. Don't miss his Whirlwind, Get Off My Lawn tour. The comedy genius that Kevin Hart calls hopelessly white. It's Sappy Putz!
I haven't seen someone so shocked since Jimmy Carter showed his wife his peanuts. Peanuts. It's funny, I wrote that, goddammit. Who here knows how to do CPR?
Buy your tickets now, because every show may be his last. Sappy Putz, he entertained your great-grandfather.
Pull my finger.
There are things in this world that cannot be explained. Things only akin to the supernatural. I'm Grody Wales, star of A Bad Dream on Oak Street and Devil Monkeys 5 through 9, and I'm going to take you on a journey you cannot turn back from. Being the season of the witch, I decided to play a little game. I've hired a sassy young assistant named Ursula, and she likes to hide. So let's see if you can spot Ursula.
Sponge cake!
Boogity boogity. There's only one answer. It's because this shit be haunted.
Hey,
Hey, this is Sharon from I Smell Sheep, and this month's book is the young adult horror fantasy, The Island Mother by John Kahn. Midsummer meets White Lotus in a supernatural thriller centered around an emotionally codependent woman on the run from her own life. She finds paradise, but it may come at a cost that she's unable to pay. There's a darkness looming on the island, and it seems that the only thing that will save them is a sacrifice that will cost a little bit of something from everyone. From author John Kahn comes the next great horror book that blends danger, supernatural creatures, and the unknown into an unforgettable read. Our reviewer, Pamela K. Kinney, says, a page-turning horror novel where the heroine thought all she had to worry about was a drug-dealing boyfriend, but finds that paradise wears a mask that hides terrifying gods and monsters that are frighteningly real, especially when they demand sacrifices to keep paradise beautiful and tourist-friendly. Be sure to check out the whole review on I Smell Sheep. I Smell Sheep gives The Island Mother 5 spooky sheep. Until next time.
Check out the award-winning review site for books, comics, and movies your funky Werepig loves, ISmellSheep.com. Fact: Columbus Day, 1966, Blessing, Pennsylvania. 3-year-old Ugly Joe Barrett murdered his family, then disappeared. Fact: machete, chainsaw, improper insertion of a tire pump. Death arrives wearing the true mask of evil. For over 50 years, horrifying unsolved murders have been filed under Ugly Joe, a serial killer who leaves behind only crayon drawings. Really good crayon drawings. I mean, check out that parrot. Probably like the best crayon parrot ever. Fact: in order to survive, you need the facts. Is it politically correct to die on Columbus Day? Can your virginity save you? Can you really stick a man up on a wall with a kitchen knife? The legend of Ugly Joe is your only hope in solving all the mysteries. Gregory L. Hall's The Legend of Ugly Joe is available at Amazon Books. Oh, this voice is scary. If you would like JJ Glamour to write a song to someone you know, then dedicate it and sing it on the Funky Werepig, contact us at monkeyflingingpoo924@gmail.com. Include the person's name and a quote, an inside joke, or message you'd like to hear in JJ's lyrics.
If the song becomes a hit, JJ shares nothing with you, not a penny.
Dedicate a song at monkeyflingingpoo924@gmail.com.
Yes, this is real. Send me your stuff, like today. This goes out to Sally from George, celebrating 40 years together. I don't load the washing machine. You don't mow the lawn. You like to read and stay up late. I always wake up at dawn. We've been 40 years together, the perfect couple forever. Didn't you say there was a sale on kitty litter? Where the hell is the cat?
Subscribe to the Funky Werepig and let the laughter and the music drop right into your hands. It's the time of year to dress as a zombie and chase that neighbor who has been celebrating Christmas since September. Nom nom nom. It's getting freakier every day. You got to come out and visit sometime. Next time you come on, because I'm coming out to Pittsburgh to party with you for the big grand opening night of Frankenstein. Next time you come on the Funky Werepig, I want you sitting right here.
Yeah, that would be righteous.
I'll make
moon pies.
I can make us moon pies, moon pie pizza. So. The groovy thing about you is you make my job so easy. I get to say, ladies and gentlemen, Sir Lawrence. And then I say, anything new happening? And then I just go like this.
Yeah. All right.
So anything new happening?
There are a few things happening. Yes, it's been pretty busy around here. And the big thing, the elephant in the room, is Frankenstein. We have Frankenstein going up, a brand new adaptation at Pittsburgh's new Hazlitt Theater. I should learn how to pronounce the name of the theater. It's being put on by Prime Stage.
You got that accent.
That's right. It's being put on by Prime Stage. Prime Stage Theater, one of our great theater companies here in Pittsburgh, and they have commissioned me to write the adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And we are doing things with it that people haven't done before, and I'm very excited about it. So we have that coming up, and I hope we're going to have a lot.
Let me talk about that first, because
Sure.
I am literally squatting. I don't even have a chair here. That's how excited I am. I'm about to spring forward. We talked about Frankenstein probably, a year and a half ago?
That's right.
The first time you were on our YouTube show.
That's right.
And we talked extensively about it. And you had me geeked from that point on. I have been majorly excited about this.
All right.
And I've begged you, please, please, please give me a front row seat. Just, I want the paper with the tape on it slapped on the seat. Just Werepig. Front row, center, right there. So I can just sit there and just giggle.
We're going to do that. Reserve for Werepig. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, it was 2001, was it 2019, something like that?
Something like that, 2020 maybe? Yeah.
2019, 2020, somewhere around there. And I had just come back from LA. We had the Mick Garris and R.C. Matheson and Sandra Bussarella were down in Mexico. We were all down in Mexico together doing a book launch. And I came back and I was exhausted. And my wife says, let's go to a show. And Pittsburgh has some great theater. And so we decided we'd go see a show at Prime Stage. And so we're sitting into the audience before the show starts, and up comes this guy. Guy comes up. There's seats next to us. The theater is still filling up, so he sits next to us, and he introduces himself, and he's the artistic director of the theater. And he says, I hear you write scripts, and we would like to do Frankenstein, and we can't find a script we like. Would you be interested? And I thought, this is my dream, because Frankenstein is one of my favorite books. I've loved it since the first time I read it, and have loved it more because in many ways it is an acquired taste. The more you become familiar with it, the better you like it. And so what the heck? I said, let's do it. And so I wrote the script, turned it in. I guess it was right around January of 2020. And we know what happened in February and March. And so the play was accepted, paid for, and then delayed. But this is where it gets to be fun, because what happened was, because the theater ended up going dark during the season that Frankenstein was going to premiere.
Yes.
The theater decided to do a virtual theater called Prime Stage Mystery Theater, and they commissioned me to write it and produce it. So we now have this podcast out there that has caught on. It's now in its 5th season, going into its 6th season of mystery stories presented in installments. So this has turned out to be, something bigger than I ever imagined.
So we've got 6 installments?
The 6th installment goes up right in line with Frankenstein. The first episode of the 6th season, and by the way, Prime Stage calls them chapters. I call them seasons. But the 6th season or 6th chapter goes up the 3rd of November, and then Frankenstein has a preview on the 4th. You're coming down for the grand opening for the premiere on the 5th. And then it's off to the races. So November is going to be a very busy month for me. It's going to be wild.
You booked the Werepig at the right time, my friend.
That's it.
This is all. If you're watching it, the Halloween weekend, all of this stuff Sir Lawrence is talking about drops next weekend. So this weekend, Funky Werepig weekend, Halloween. Next month, all Sir Lawrence. I apologize in advance. I am lax because I didn't know you had done 6 seasons of the Mystery Theater podcast. I know I did was a knavish piece of murder.
Knavish piece of mystery is the first one.
Mystery.
Yes.
I did that one, and I did like The Play is the Thing.
The Play is the Thing. And after that, we have Trap Full of Monsters.
So I've only done the first two.
Yeah, Trap Full of Monsters has a Frankenstein theme, so you'll want to definitely check that one out. And then we have, let's see, A Most Deadly Poison. And there's a fourth one in there. Let me see. It is about, it's got a kind of time travel motif going on with it. And I can't remember the title, but you'll find it. It's in there. Anyhow, the sixth one is in the bag. In the can, as they say. It drops on the 3rd, and it's called In the Ghost Lights Glow. It's a special ghost story with a Mary Shelley theme to coincide with Frankenstein. And the way this works is divided up into 5 acts, and at the end of each act, the listener has a chance to assess the clues and determine where the story is going. And sometimes, as we did with you in the haunted toilet, we have guests come on and talk about what is happening in the mystery. And sometimes the guests try to solve the mystery, and sometimes they do, which is gratifying. Makes me realize that the clues are accessible.
Well, it's so fun because it's interactive for everybody. I mean, it was great during the pandemic because nobody could get out. We were craving entertainment. You can only watch so much of the Lion King or whatever that thing was called. Tiger King. I'm sorry, it's a different cat. But you can only watch so much Netflix and Hulu. And then you bring this thing, and it was fun. I'd listen to it with the Lady Love and the boys, and we listened to each episode or whatever it was segment, and we'd be like right along trying to guess who did it. I always just said it was you.
Well, in a way, you got to say that's right.
That's right. I'm not wrong.
It's always the writer that does it. Absolutely.
No. Well, you're also all the voices, aren't you? Are you still? Is that for all?
Yes, I do all the voices, and that was a pragmatic decision at the beginning. There were 2 main reasons for that. One is because we were in lockdown when we did the first season, and we wanted everything to be studio quality. I have a studio here in my home, and so I was able to record here, but I wasn't able to invite actors in. So it was going to be all me. So rather than having to keep saying, he said, she said, this person said, that person said, just changing my voice. And so that kind of evolved into a thing where now we have a dozen characters, and I'm doing the Mel Blanc thing with all of those characters. So.
I've heard segments where you have had a 4-person conversation and don't miss a beat. That you're amazing. That's just amazing.
Yeah, that was all born out of necessity. There was nobody here to do it, and that's the way we do it now. And that also came about. I've done a lot of live readings. You know about that.
You're an excellent. You cannot miss Sir Lawrence.
Thank you.
You cannot miss Sir Lawrence. If he's doing a live reading at a convention or whatever, get your seat. He's one of the top, I'd say 2.5 best I've ever seen.
All right. Well, thanks. And of course, you 2.5 best. You and I think our good friend Mike Arnzen here in Pittsburgh might be in that list too. Yeah, I did. I don't know when I started doing that. It wasn't something that I invented when I had to do it for the podcast, but it was just something to do while doing the reading. About 6, maybe 10 years ago, when I started doing readings at the Fantastic Fiction reading series in New York, the one that Ellen Datlow and Matt Kressel host in the East Village.
That's bigwig stuff.
That's great stuff. And I started deciding I'm not going to read anymore. I'm just going to memorize. So I memorized the stories and then take it one step further and try to modulate the voice each time there's a new character. I find that memorizing the story is liberating because I'm not staring at the book. Sometimes you go to an author's reading and the author seems to kind of, get lost in the book. And I didn't want to do that. And so I guess it was about 10 years ago that I just started doing all of my readings from memory.
That's incredible. See, for me, I was back in the day, I used to do a lot of acting, theater, comedy, the whole bit, and had one of those steel minds that you do, steel trap minds. You could memorize stuff left and right. I could memorize my part, your part, and the sequels that were written that we weren't even doing yet. I could do that. Then Then I had the Boy Childs, and now it's all Post-it notes. In the movies, who is the best Frankenstein? Frankenstein's monster, to be correct.
Sure. Yeah, well, I guess hands down, it has to be Boris Karloff, doesn't it? What he brings to that role is incredible. I should preface this by saying I came to the Frankenstein films late. So as a child, I didn't see the Boris Karloff films as a kid. You see, I came around in that this dead zone in between when the films had their theatrical run and everybody saw them, and the films are finally sold to television. And so I'm growing up, I'm in my my single digit years when some kids today, or our earlier generations, will discover Frankenstein. I was in this Frankenstein desert where the films weren't being shown in theaters and they weren't being shown on television. But what was being shown on television were the Warner Brothers cartoons, which were made when the Frankenstein films were in the theaters and which had all kinds of homages to the Frankenstein creature. And so I grew up on things like Porky's Road Race, where there's this character called Borax Karloff. Yeah. Borax Karloff creates in his lab, creates this super hot rod, and he takes it out and he drives the super hot rod on the track and he tries to beat Porky in a road race. Yeah. And there's also this story, Beans, this character Beans, who predated Bugs Bunny. He's on the Universal set and he sees this slab with a sheet over it and he pulls down the shroud and he sees the Frankenstein creature there. Frankenstein creature gets up and he creates all kinds of mayhem. It's called Hollywood Capers. These were the movies. These were the movies that I was introduced to Frankenstein by. So when Frankenstein finally shows up on television, I know it's another long story, forgive me. When Frankenstein finally shows up on television, it's not even Boris Karloff. My dad says, "You want to stay up and watch a Frankenstein movie?" I said, "Oh yeah, right. Porky's Road Race, but real live people. I can't wait." So it turns out, though, it's not Boris Karloff. It's a Hammer film, which those Hammer films are great. But for me, who's expecting those iconic images from those Warner Brothers cartoons, which are based on Boris Karloff, it didn't work because
you got the Christopher Lee.
It wasn't even the Christopher Lee. It was the second Hammer film, and I think it was called The Curse of Frankenstein. And as a result, the only thing I really remembered about it was that Victor Frankenstein had this laboratory with terrariums in it or aquariums in it, and the aquariums were filled with some kind of fluid, and in the fluid there are these eyeballs that are trailing the optic nerves, and they're floating around in there like a couple of angelfish watching the people as they walk by. That was the only thing I got out of it. I didn't finally see Boris Karloff until many, many years later, and it proved to be an acquired taste. But when I really got into those films, I realized the humanity that he brings to that role is it's astounding. And even though it is, the monster is fairly mute, he only speaks in Bride of Frankenstein, he still conveys that brand of humanity, if we can say that the creature has humanity. He conveys that's from the novel. The creature is a lost soul, is a troubled spirit in the novel, and that comes across in Karloff's performance. I got to say that he really does a great job. I wish he had done more than 3 of them. I believe that the last one he did was the one he was upstaged by Bela Lugosi in playing Igor. Was that great? That was his career performance right there.
I think so too.
And Karloff was really upset about that. He said, "I will never be upstaged by Lugosi again." And of course, Karloff asked for it because Karloff was the one who insisted that the Frankenstein creature not speak in that 3rd film. So Lugosi got all the dialogue, and he nailed it too. So the short answer, yeah, Boris Karloff, I have to say. And I don't even think there's anybody that comes close. When I think of all the other, Christopher Lee, maybe, but Christopher Lee, as I recall, he was in the first Hammer Frankenstein, right? He doesn't do a whole lot.
Yeah, he's ugly and he's tall.
Yeah.
That's all I really
And then he gets shot in the head, and he goes face down on the leaves. And I like Christopher Lee. I like him better as a vampire, I think, than as the Frankenstein creature. But what we're doing with this Frankenstein, we're doing something a little bit different. I told them if we are going to do this, we are going to go right back to the novel's roots in a very big way. And I saw the creature design yesterday, and the creature design goes right back to the original description in the novel.
They don't give a whole lot of description, though, do they?
There is in chapter 5. There is a paragraph. Actually, it's about 3 or 4 sentences, and it's very detailed. And among the details are the creature's hair, which is black and lustrous. And he has, perfect teeth, because obviously he is a perfect creature. He has been created from scratch, incidentally, not from body parts. Now, let's get this straight. The novel does make it clear that Victor is gathering body parts. He is studying them. But then in chapter 4, he makes a claim or a statement that changes everything. And he says, because the minuteness of the parts would prove a hindrance to my work, I decided to make the creature 8 feet tall and proportionably large. So what he's doing is he's making this thing because he can't use the parts he finds. And after all, he wants to create something better than human because his desire is to cure death. Think about this too. The title of the novel is Frankenstein, and the subtitle is A Modern Prometheus. Yes. A lot of people don't know this, but there are 2 Prometheus myths. One is Prometheus Pyrophoro. He's the guy that steals the fire from the heavens. And the other is Prometheus Plasticator. Prometheus Plasticator makes human figures out of clay and brings them to life. So he brings them to life. He brings inanimate matter to life and makes something new. And so in this novel, Frankenstein, I'm convinced that Mary Shelley wants us to see the creature as something new. And she reinforces this later on. Remember, in the book, and it's also dramatized in the movie Bride of Frankenstein, the creature is able to learn how to speak simply by eavesdropping on the DeLacy family. And then, one step further, by watching Felix DeLacy teach Agatha to read. The creature is able to learn to read and is therefore able to read Victor Frankenstein's journal. And as the story goes on, the monster becomes extremely articulate in such a way that no human ever could have become so articulate learning in that fashion. So this creature is superhuman. He's got a super brain. He's got a super body. He's 8 feet tall. And we're getting back to that in this version of Frankenstein. I'm very excited about it. If you look at the picture, the illustration on the frontispiece of the 2nd edition of Frankenstein, you will see a creature that looks very much like the creature that we are depicting in this version of Frankenstein. And in addition to the hair, the white teeth, the huge stature, it's interesting that this creature does not have a single stitch on him. He is not stitched together. He is made whole by Victor Frankenstein. Now, we are going to do one thing, though. Or at least I think we're going to do this. We'll know when the play gets closer to its debut. But we may do an homage to the films by having Victor Frankenstein stitch the brain, because the brain has to be special matter, right? Stitches the brain into the head. And so there may be a scar on the creature's face, just as an homage to all of these films that have shown the creature as a scarred creature. But the rest of him will be fully formed. And we have a brilliant actor playing the part of the creature. He's extremely tall. He's taller than anybody else in the cast. The rest of the cast is my height, fairly average height for the most part. And so it really accentuates his size. And one more thing, if you want to hear one more thing about Frankenstein,
we're
going to do one more thing with it. We're going to frame the story with Mary Shelley. You remember how in Bride of Frankenstein we open up with Mary Shelley and Percy Shelley and Lord Byron
telling the stories, yeah, on the stormy night.
We're going to do that. And not only are we going to do that at the beginning, we're going to do that periodically throughout the play, and we are going to end with them, so that this version of Frankenstein is going to take place on the night that Mary Shelley gets the idea for Frankenstein and begins telling the first draft of the story to the people at Villa Diodati. And occasionally she injects herself into the story as the story is going on, and she rearranges things. She thinks things through. She tells the audience what her creative process is, as Victor Frankenstein is explaining his creation process for the monster. In this way, the creature becomes kind of a metaphor for the novel itself. It's a book about writing, and it's a play about writing and a play about science.
Just to make sure that I have this clear, so you are not Dr. Praetorius at all in this.
I wrote a Dr. Pretorius part into the script, and I begged them to give me the part, but they said, no, just do Mystery Theater. You're doing enough. and leave us alone. The writer turns in the script and let us put on the show. Yes, that is about that's about 1% true, but it's a good story. So let's print it.
Well, the good news is when I come out to see the show and I have my reserved front row seat, the lady love and the boy childs, they can sit in the back. That's fine. They'll deal with it. But my seat's up front. The seat next to it would be so cool if it was you. Right, and then you still dress as Dr. Pretorius. That's a good compromise.
That would be good.
I'll dress as the bride. I think it's fair.
Well, of course, the person in the back you won't be able to see over that hair, but hey, you know.
Now, I will be boycotted and spat upon and probably jumped in a back alley if I don't ask you about Nightmare Cinema.
Okay.
What's going on with it? First off, okay, I'll do the fanboy thing. The movie's awesome. It's awesome. How's Mick Garris? When's the sequel coming out? Didn't you say something about books? Where are the books? There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, those are great questions. Yeah. Nightmare Cinema came out. Hey, we dodged that bullet. Nightmare Cinema came out in the summer of 2019. We got into the theaters. We had our theatrical run, which was great, and we weren't impacted by COVID. So the exciting thing about that, and I didn't realize it at the time, but first of all, at the film festival circuit, where we're watching the film in packed houses, which is the best way to watch a horror film. You've got to go into a theater with a packed house. And so all around the world, Montreal, England, California, Mexico, we are in packed houses watching this film with enthusiastic fans, and that is the way to see it. So we did that for a year, and I got to go on some of those. And then we had our big opening in LA. That was, again, that was a standing room only performance. Again, you again, you can't underestimate the power of watching a horror film in that kind of environment. And then we went into streaming and video on demand. So it's been a fun run. And there has been talk of a Nightmare Cinema 2. Mick Garris had Nightmare Cinema 1 under development for a very long time. It can take an incredibly long time for these films to get made. And so we don't know how long it will take, for a Nightmare Cinema 2 to come about. But Mick Garris does have great plans for continuing this brand into the future. So let's hope it happens. And then as a spin-off, I mentioned this earlier, in let's see, what was it? It was the end of the summer, right around the World Fantasy Convention in 2019, which was in LA. we went down to Mexico. That is Mick Garris and Richard Christian Matheson and Sandra Bussarel, who is a name that might not be that well known to writers and readers in the States, but she is a phenomenon in Mexico. She is one of the greatest horror writers in Mexico, and she put together a book featuring some of the writers, all but one of the writers. Alejandro Burgues wrote the first episode of Nightmare Cinema. He is not in the book, but all of the other writers are. And so it came out in Mexico in 2019, and we went down there to a film festival and had a great series of book events down there, and came back and got back to LA just in time for the World Fantasy Convention. But here's the news. Here's the exciting news, is that finally, 2 or 3 years later, in 2022, Gauntlet Press brings out the same book in a limited edition for English language readers. And this is it. It's Nightmare. And look at that cover. That's an original cover by David Slade, who co-wrote the This Way to Egress episode with me. And if you open the book, you will see that, boy, we have more David Slade. The image is reproduced on the end sheets there. And the best part ever. This is why everybody's got to run out and get this book. Take a look at that. Signed by Mick Garris, R.C. Matheson, Sandra Bussarel, some guy named Lawrence Connolly, and John Skip, who wrote the introduction to the ultra limited edition 52 copy Nightmare. So this is available in the ultra limited edition and also in a special 500 print run edition from Gauntlet Press. I think they still have a few. People have got to grab them. As a matter of fact, if you are a completist, and who isn't, right? The book from Mexico, which is published by, I think it's Sudafest Ediciones. I'm not sure about that, but you can find it on my website. The Spanish edition is still available and just out. Boy, they just shipped. I wish I had a copy to show you. Just out from Independent Legions Publishing in Italy is the Italian edition. And boy, is that a beauty. Has all new original artwork, but it retains the David Slade, yelling dog on the inside in a special frontispiece. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. And so you can read this book in Italian, you can read it in Spanish, you can read it in English. You can get that, that three-prong effect when you have all three books. So I would encourage everybody to run out and get one.
I can barely read English, so I might just go for the Italian one.
Yeah.
I looked into it, and you have been on the show, including the old radio days. You have been on our show 956 times.
Yeah, that's about what I have too. And I'll tell you what, it's amazing. It seems like 2 times. That's because it's been so exciting and to happen so fast. But yeah, we're up there in the 900s. I hope people all check those out. People check all of those out.
They're in the catalog somewhere, and definitely on YouTube. In our show lists. And the thing is, we've only done 957 shows. I didn't realize that either.
And then when that convention ended, you remember when that convention ended, I go out to my car Sunday morning, I'm just minding my own business. And there on my windshield is this picture of Greg Hall. And it says, I can't believe this. It says, "To my very best friend ever," or words to that effect. I mean, that made my day. That's like church, man. That was Sunday morning. That's going to church. Yeah. That made my day, man. And what's the really exciting thing is in order to know which car was mine, you had to be watching. And so I carried something out to my car. I put it in. I went back to my room. 5 minutes later, I go out and there's the picture. Yeah, you were ready for that.
It's stealthy, baby.
Good
it's
stuff,
stealthy.
good stuff.
But I forgot about the headshot. And it's so.
But then I found out that you write that to everybody, but that's okay because you don't put those on everybody's windshield.
Here's the difference. I wrote it once to you, and then I Xerox copies for everybody else.
All
you
right.
get the original.
Good stuff.
And I don't tell that story to everybody either. Thanks so much for coming on the show. You have no idea how much your mere presence makes me smile. It is impossible to have a bad day after you've spent any part of it with Sir Lawrence.
Well, thank you very much for that. I will just have to say that it's right back at you. That's the way I feel about coming on the Werepig. This is the best part of my day, best part of my year. Always start with Werepig in your cup.
Here you go, clink, clink.
All right.
Stop by lawrenceconnolly.com to find Sir Lawrence's novels and collections, the latest news on Nightmare Cinema and other film projects, and podcasts for both the Prime Stage Theater and the Wicked Library. Only one person has ever been knighted by the Funky Werepig, and he's at lawrenceconnolly.com. Are you ready, piggy petters? Then let's put the needle to the record.
Living in a haunted house ever since the day you went. I hear strange noises and I see strange things. It's happening again and again. Living in a haunted house and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I see your face in every room in this place, smelling your sweet perfume. Girl, why'd you leave me? Why'd you have to go away? I miss you so bad every night. I think about you every day. Living in a haunted house, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. Not the hurt of me that won't soon go away. I don't know how I'll make it through. Since you left me, this house is just as cold as ice. Girl, please forgive me. I promise I will treat you right. Girl, I'm so scared. Scared to just walk through that door. I'm missing you so bad. Can't live without you anymore. Living in a haunted house, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'd rather be haunted by some ghosts from long past than by this vivid memory of you. I'm living in a haunted house. I wake up shaking in my bed. You made your decision and you're out of my life, but I just can't get you out of my head. Can't get you out of my head. Living in a haunted house. Can't get you out of my head. Living in a haunted house. I'm living in a haunted house. Living in a haunted house. Living in a haunted house.
Live shows or latest videos. You can find everything Willig Boys on YouTube or at the Willig Boys event group on Facebook. Tonight on This Is Real, the Greg Hall story. Greg grew up in a small town, but that didn't stop his big dreams. The town also prayed he would leave, and he did. Out in the world, he found true love and began his life as a dancer. But hard times fell upon Greg. His fiancée Holly dumped him at breakfast one morning. His friends left him. His house washed away in a tidal wave, and he lived in Iowa at the time. Still, Greg never gave up. His faith paid off when one day he stumbled upon a magical unicorn. It brought forth his inner Disney princess, and he became everything he ever dreamed of being. His popularity soared. Women suddenly flocked to him for reasons unknown. His talent stuck out for everyone to see, and they did, including the most famous woman in the world. And Greg became a backup dancer for the superstar Beyonce. That small-town boy was on top of the world. And then a giant turtle ate him. The end. I have no idea what's going on here, but that was not Morgan Freeman. Want the best in indie music? Head on over to tmvcafe.com and tell them the Werepig said, "Harroinks, baby."
Like a clock on a wall said ding ding dong, it's time to check the monkey clock. You know, the batteries in the monkey clock died long ago, so when I look up and I see that the time is 10 after 12, that is the correct time. Because one does not argue with monkey clock.
Hugs and Harroinks to our guest, the great and powerful Sir Lawrence C. Connolly. I cannot wait to party with you in Pittsburgh. It has been far too long, my goodly friend. No pressure, but I hope a guitar finds its way into the evening. I had the boy chods write me down all the lyrics to the song Tequila. And I do apologize for all the crazy, spooky stuff that's happened on this Halloween show. But if anyone can figure out a mystery, it's Sir Lawrence. The Willig Boys. Thank you so much for the music and the comedy. You definitely have that Marx Brothers Monkeys vibe that we dig so much. I've heard rumors that Halloween songs are kind of sort of maybe a Willig Boys tradition. I just might know a show that could be interested in an annual piece of that action. High fives and disco hip bumps to the Magic Farmers Incorporated, Goat Boy, Ivan November / Malone, President James K. Polk, our October fan of the month, Jack William Finley, and special thanks to the ghosts that haunt my bathroom. You've helped me form a special bond with the woods behind my house. Okay, I did not thank the ghosts. My special thanks went out to Mary Lou Retton. Boy Childs. Look, right here. Mary Lou Retton. There is nothing on the rest of these that have anything to do with ghosts. I think that the show is haunted. I think that the No Pants Zone Studios is haunted. And I think that the ancient burial grounds that we built the studios on is haunted. See if we still have Miss Tanya on speed dial. Do we have a different picture? Thank you. Ghosts? Miss Tanya, if you're listening. I am mixing in some holy water with my Zima. Let's find our musical director. There he is, JJ Glamour. JJ, sorry for the rush. I gotta go. I'm moving back to Detroit where it's safe. So let's do what we do. Let's put the needle to the record. Throw those pants in the air like we just don't care. And if you would, good sir, play us out and make us something funky.
preferred pronouns are JJ, them, and Billy Joel.
Homies,